We've been having these conversations a lot over the last decade. But I mean, I guess really the question is, what happened this time?
This time, it was a normal day of Super G. Everything was going really well. I just hit a slick spot, kind of lost my edge, caught it, did the splits, high-sided, turned backwards, and then as I was falling backwards, I went off a little jump and got my arm caught behind me and fell on my arm and then into the nets. It was by far the most painful injury I've ever had by a long shot. It was I could feel my bones hitting together and hitting the nerve, and it was brutal.
In the short term, I'm wondering how long you gave yourself before you started thinking, okay, I'm going to come back. And so what's that comeback timeline look like? The one issued by the doctors, and then the one you always have for yourself?
Well, I mean, when I first got out of surgery, they were a bit conservative with their timeline. They were saying, 10 to 12 weeks, which is a long time.
How do you know they were conservative?
Because then as soon as my doctor saw the progress that I was making, he said, okay, well, maybe it could be more like 8 weeks. We'll see. So I'm definitely working as hard as I can on getting back to where I was before. I normally heal pretty well, but you never know. So I'm just kind of hoping for some time in January.
Is there a day that you have pegged? Like, I gotta make it back by then?
There is, but that's my little secret. I kind of have a plan of when I'd like to get back on snow and just free ski and see how it feels, and then when I'll start training, and I kind of have a best case scenario, an average scenario, and a really bad scenario. So I kind of have it all like planned out, depending on how fast I heal. But we just have to keep taking x-rays every couple of weeks, see how the bone is healing, and then we'll see when I can get back on snow.
I want to say in the last decade, in all but 2 years, the central theme has been injury recovery. And so, like, when you're laying on the ground, what's going through your head?
Like, when I'm laying on the ground, I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. How do I keep doing this? And I don't know. I've toned down my training. I've tried to limit my risk as much as I can, but unfortunately, it's a high-risk sport. And even when I'm not pushing it 100%, even when I'm skiing within myself, anything can happen. And I accept that. It's just been really tough the last few years, and it's definitely starting to, I wouldn't say get me down, but it's starting to really frustrate me. It's like again and again and again I'm fighting to come back, and I wish I could just ski and not have to deal with this. I mean, being in rehab is probably one of the most brutal / boring / annoying things that you have to do, and I just keep doing it. And at some point I'm kind of thinking, when is this going to stop? But I still love what I do. I have a lot that I want to accomplish, and I think if I didn't have the records and the Olympics coming up, I might retire, but I still have a lot that I want to accomplish, and that keeps me going.
I mean, it's interesting. I was curious whether or not you would come back if you didn't have what was unassailable record of Stenmark, 10 victories away. What would it take for you to retire shy of that record?
Basically, if I couldn't ski anymore, that would probably be the only thing that would prohibit me from trying to break the record. I mean, I'm so close. I've gotten 10 wins multiple times in a season, so I was hoping that this year would be a good year for me. But I mean, even if I come back, end of January, I'll still have plenty of races to try to get closer to that mark. But yeah, the only thing that would stop me from trying to reach that record would be something really bad that would allow me not to ski anymore.
Do you want to talk about your book?
Sure, I would love to.
Okay. I mean, first of all, I didn't know you came out with a book. Like, she wrote a book. Who has time to write a book with, you're in the gym all the time. It just seems like you're on the red carpet. You seem like the busiest person on the planet. What inspired this idea to write a book?
Well, I've been thinking about writing a book since after Vancouver, and I kind of toyed with the idea of writing a memoir, but I'm just not in that place in my life where I feel like that's a good idea. But I've learned so much over the course of my career, and so many people, on social media always ask me, what I'm doing in the gym and what I'm eating, and I just thought it was something that I could share, and hopefully people could learn from it and, create their own healthy lifestyle from what I've learned. So I just thought it would be helpful, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from it, and I think it's also really empowering to girls as well. It's not a diet book, it's not about being skinny, it's about being confident in yourself, feeling beautiful with who you are, and no matter what size you are, and just trying to live a healthier, better lifestyle.
I was pretty surprised that you had these body image issues. Can you talk about sort of when that became a reality for you and how you sort of pushed through that?
Well, I've been made fun of over the course of my life. First I was too skinny. When I was, a teenager, I was rail thin, 5'10" and 130 pounds, was pretty skinny. And then I gained a bunch of weight, and then I kind of was like really puffy and, got judged a lot on that as well. But I really didn't have, I had the most problems after 2010, when I started to do red carpets, and I just kind of realized that I didn't fit in. When I'm in the ski world, we're all about the same. We're all big and muscular and strong, and I always thought, that's just what we all are. But when you are next to supermodels and actresses, you realize that, wow, I am 60 pounds heavier than all these women. And it was kind of a shock to the system, and I didn't know really how to handle it. It definitely got into my head a lot, and I questioned myself, and it took a pretty big toll on me, but I learned to accept what I am, and it's taken me a while, but I finally am confident in who I am.
The one thing also that was in the book that struck me was that after you injured your knee for the second time, that you slipped into this depression, which you've also talked about, it's sort of your proclivity for kind of falling into a depression at times. I just did not realize that that had such an impact on you. So as you kind of address that, I'm wondering if this injury concerns you, that you might kind of slip a little bit mentally.
Yeah, it's already been pretty hard, especially the first week after surgery. Yeah, it's just been so many injuries back to back. It's hard to really stay positive, but like I said, that record is what is driving me, and I love what I do, and I don't want to stop. But ski racing, that's the record. That's really getting me out of bed every day. This was one of the most painful injuries I've ever had, and I was on pain meds for a lot longer than I ever have. Normally, I only need them for a day or two after surgery, and then I'm fine. And this time it took, a week and a half, and that's just not. It's not like me, and it's just been a really, really painful injury. So hopefully I can just stay positive and keep going like I always have. I think I'll be fine, but I always have my bad days.
The Olympics not far away. You have a chance to ski it prior to this year. That World Cup race is the beginning of March. How important is it for you to get there?
I think it's relatively important. I've done well on courses that I've never skied on before. I'm not really worried about it, but it would be great to get on the course this year. We're also supposed to train there after the race too, to get a little extra training, because I am the ambassador to PeyongChang. So I'm really excited about that. Before Vancouver, I only got one race on the course, and I did just fine. So as long as I can get on it at least once and just kind of get a good feel for it, I'll be totally fine.
Will you go there anyway, whether or not you're skiing, as the ambassador?
Oh, I'll be racing.
You'll be racing that World Cup?
I'll be racing.
Okay.
Don't you worry.